Hello, Running Man.
Hello, hello. Great to see you.
Likewise. So what do you want to talk about?
There's always a lot to talk about.
Mhm.
I was just thinking, like, what are my favorite shows? And I think that I don't know what I like more: meeting new people or taking a stroll down memory lane. Today we're going to take a stroll down memory lane, and that's always fun.
A good memory lane. I don't really recall when I met today's guest. So he might. I have a thought of when it is, and it'll be interesting to see if that's the case. Do you know when you met him? Because I didn't even know you knew him until you were telling me that he said hello, and I was like, okay, well, let me text him. It's good to have people's phone numbers so that 10 years after you see them
It certainly was at one of your events. It was, I can't remember which one because it's been so many years.
Probably like a startup night, maybe
startup night, Start Norfolk, something.
Okay. Well, let's ask him. Okay, today's guest, Chip Dodd. Hello, Chip. Did I meet you at the TechCrunch meetup? Is that when we met for the first time?
That could have been. I think it was through Bo Turner. Somehow I got wrapped up with him, Makerspace, all that stuff. But that was probably even before Makerspace. He was doing that zombie game thing.
Right,
yeah,
because
Zombie Tag.
This is Start Norfolk 3. Zombie Tag is Start Norfolk, the original, which you were definitely not at. But you were at 2 because you're in that video?
Yeah.
And Tim, you weren't there yet because we didn't know each other yet. Okay. Well, that was 2013? Yeah.
And I remember somehow, didn't you have something called We Are Titans or something like that? You were like a tech company or something?
Yeah, that's where the TechCrunch meetup was. We had the third floor, so which is now the Percolator. That's what that is, Tim, if you couldn't tell. So it's the third floor of what's now the Percolator. We had an office there for a year. And then pretty much right after that, like maybe within a month, then I started Hatch, 2-3 blocks down the street. And so, yeah, that's it. And we were just watching the video. I'll send it to both of you guys after this. But like, there's a video of the TechCrunch meetup. TechCrunch, which I don't know if they're still a big deal, but at the time they were kind of a big online.
Yeah, I don't know how much they do, like in terms of like events and stuff. Now it seems now it seems more of a media publication kind of thing.
But well, they were doing like a road tour.
Yeah,
they were doing a road tour in Virginia, and they were like, "We're going to DC. Where else should we go?" And I was like, "We are not losing this." So I literally called everyone in the entire planet. I said, "Please go right Norfolk into this thing," and they showed up. That's where I met Chip.
I think you're right. Somehow
and Paul Chen gave you the high five at the end of that video. Yeah. Okay. Got it. And do you remember Tim? How you met Tim? Was it at one of my events?
I think it was at one of the Start Norfolks.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it was at Hatch. I would hang out at Hatch there. Did a few talks there, with you guys, but I don't remember Tim being there.
Yeah, I mean, because I was just a young pup in terms of learning the whole entrepreneurial thing. Yeah, so you were a big guy, that everyone was like, looked up to, that had all the wisdom and knowledge
and battle scars.
Do you like being called the big guy, Chip? I mean, that's pretty exciting.
It is kind of hard to believe. I mean, the company's fairly large. I guess we're up to about 14 mil gross revenue. We got multiple divisions across the state, a couple hundred employees. It's kind of like fake it till you make it. And then all of a sudden you look around and you go, holy crap. Like it actually is happened. But like I said, there's a lot of battle scars and it was a tough ride. And there's multiple times that I almost didn't make it. And we're on an upswing now in the cycle and things are going good. And we got the company debt free and got systems and processes in place. We got technology in place. So I tried to learn from You know, like what you guys do. You study entrepreneurship. You try to surround yourself with smart people, and you ask questions when you don't know, and you Google stuff and YouTube stuff. And I'm also a member of EO, and so being around a group of entrepreneurs that I could ask questions to at any moment. That's what I would say somehow got it to where things are going pretty well.
And
yeah,
the
for those
company-
that don't know,
Yeah,
can you
tell
give
us
us a
about
quick rundown of the
sure.
company and what you're doing?
Yeah, it's called Support Services of Virginia. That's the main company. What we do is we're a Medicaid contractor. So basically, Medicaid pays us. We hire staff, train them up, deploy them into people's homes that have an intellectual or a developmental disability. So basically, we're like a private sector solution to a public sector problem. In the old days, let's call it all the way up until the 70s, they basically institutionalized people with disabilities. And the official word's intellectual disability, but it's kind of new in our industry, and the general public doesn't understand it. It's really, the old word was mental retardation. So it's people who are born with some type of intellectual deficit that doesn't allow them to just operate in the community like a typical person like me and you. They need help. It could be anything from medications to transportation to help in the bathroom or help counting money. It could be autism where they have like a communication problem. It could be Down syndrome, cerebral palsy where their brain is perfect, but their body's got some problems. They need some help there. The full gamut of folks. And we have a lot of different programs. There's a foster care program that we have. So basically we try to match up a foster care home with a guy with a disability, and they live happily ever after. We have group homes, so it's 2 or 3 people in a house, and then we send in staff and staff the home. We have people that live by themselves in the community, and a lot of different scenarios there. It could be an apartment, their own home. Sometimes people live in their family's home. Could be a younger kid, like mom needs help with getting the guy off the bus in the morning, in the afternoon, or whatever. We have a day program for people that are trying to learn the skills so that they can go into a work program. And then we do therapeutic consultation, which is kind of like when somebody's having a behavioral problem or something going on, we send in somebody that's got a lot of experience to help them sort that out. So it's from an entrepreneurial standpoint, it's boring, right? Because Medicaid pays me. Once I get a guy, he kind of just stays. Like I don't have to do sales and funnels and pipelines and all that. Basically, once the guy comes in, as long as I do a good job, they typically stay with the company for a really long time. So think of it like a recurring revenue model versus you're out selling stuff, and if you stop selling, you don't make money.
How difficult was it to break into like that bureaucratic process just seems to be so tough to break through. Was that super challenging?
Yes. And I should have started with that. So the company started in 1994. So my mom started it. She did the kitchen table thing. In 1995-6, I worked there in day program, primarily as my psychology internship. I went to CNU. And so I kind of got the operational side of the company, like the services side. I had that experience in college. And then I got back involved the worst way possible when your mom calls and says, "Hey, I have cancer. It's bad. And I'm probably only going to be here a couple more years. You're the only kid with entrepreneurial experience. Come up here and learn this company's, or you can wait until you get it in the will and figure it out yourself." And she was very frank about it. I was kind of a sea turtle child. So I came back. I used to live in Georgia. And so I came back up to Virginia, and I think it was 2002-ish. And she passed away in 2005. That's really when I broke into the bureaucratic mess. When I moved back up, that's when I started seeing the back end of the company. At that point, though, it was only about maybe $3 million in gross revenue. It was only in Virginia Beach area. It had just started to expand outside the Hampton Roads kind of area. But that became the breaking into the bureaucratic stuff became my part of the job. Basically, people in the healthcare field, they want to work with people with disabilities. They don't want to learn the back office. But that's when you get running a company is a lot about the back office and those systems and processes, not related to whatever the good or services that you sell. So I realized for us to be successful, I needed to do all the stuff nobody else wanted to do, which is the HR, the finance, dealing with the government, being on the boards of trade associations and all of that. So you're exactly right. Very difficult. if I wasn't in the field, there would no way I would recommend an entrepreneur to enter this field at all. Train wreck.
Yeah. I mean, because it's the thing that makes it so difficult. It's like the unfortunate fact is the patients aren't necessarily the customers. It's
Correct.
the insurance companies. So like there's no incentive to be super efficient, cost effective, because the insurance companies essentially are the customers and they know how much they can raise prices and still get paid. So yeah, wow, you do.
So okay. That's a typical model. Medicaid's different. Medicaid's rates are the same all across the state, other than Northern Virginia. So a lot of people think Medicare, Medicaid are kind of the same. Medicare is a federal program for basically older people. Medicaid is a state-run program. It's got a match from the Fed, so they have their tentacles in it. But basically, Virginia dreams up its own system, and every single Medicaid program in every single state's just a little bit different. So think about this. If your price is fixed, the amount we are paid per hour, or let's just call it per unit, is fixed. The only game in town is to be efficient and figure out, how do I use technology? How do I get better systems and processes? How do I have a small footprint in real estate so that more money is left over to basically hire and train staff or profit or any of the other stuff that companies look for? Like, typically what happens if let's say minimum wage went up, right? So the Taco Bell down the road has to raise wages on their staff, then Taco Bell just increases their prices to cover it. Customer ends up paying. In my situation, I can't raise prices. So
Right.
like this year, we're looking at a 3% raise. They haven't given us a raise in 2 years, and this year we get a 3%. Well, obviously inflation's way more than 3%. So it's like they keep us broke. So my job is, I've got to be better than average, because the rates are for the average. I've got to be more efficient than the average, and that's how you can actually run a viable company. But a lot of them are almost going out of business. It's tough.
Judging a book by its cover is something that I think has always been fun about you. Is if you were to see this cat on the street, see this cat literally on the screen right now. You guys don't know this, but he lives in a van, and that's where he is, and is running a $14 million business. And like, I always thought that was really cool about you, how you were always on the fly and stuff like that. But we're so studious in being successful on the business route of things. It's just the extreme aspect of this, something that you've always been into. Do you think it's that kind of like that the therapy of business and life, so that you don't have to like constantly be 24/7 into that? Like it's kind of, I don't know, what are your thoughts on living out of the van? Because it's not every day that you see something like this or hear about something like this, to then have, you're not just some like wannabe YouTuber. Like, hey, you've actually, this business has come from your mom's table to now 30 years later, multi-million dollar. I mean, that's pretty wild.
It's a little long story. I'll tighten it up.
Did you know that did you know he was in a van doing all this, Tim, living in it? Did you know any of this story?
No, I just I thought that this was like new. If
okay,
does this go back many years?
Oh yeah, this van has been in front of Hatch. I believe it's the same van. Like,
it's probably a new van, but I had a smaller one when it was Hatch, and before that it was a cargo trailer. Okay, so let's go back to basics. This is, I would say, I'm probably 12 years into this transition. I did what most people did up until, maybe it was 15 years ago. I got married, had a wife. The wife had kids. 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom ranch home in Virginia Beach. All the bills and the grass and 2 cars and a couple dogs and a cat and plants and a refrigerator full of food and all that stuff. So I was a normal guy. And maybe I can't, again, I don't know how far back it was when I met you guys, but I think I was already through the transition to vagabond, or at least on the way there quickly. But no, when I got divorced the second time, I did what most people should do after a divorce. You look at your life and you say, what do I like? What do I not like? And knowing this, how am I going to move forward? And I realized I don't like that lifestyle. And so also I didn't, it was an uncontested divorce. And so it was like, you've got to go. What's it going to take? And she gave me a number. And after I got done puking, and I was like, okay, I don't have to break up my company. I don't have to sell any real estate. But it was a lot. It was a lot. So I had to, I wasn't going to be able to afford to live in my house anymore. So I have a warehouse. I have a real estate company as well that has some real estate for people with disabilities. And so I basically moved into my office in a warehouse. So think of like a big storage unit, but since I owned it, nobody could really kick me out. And so that got me through the 5 years of getting through paying off the ex-wife. But after she was paid off, I'm living this industrial lifestyle in this warehouse. And the van, I had the van and the warehouse. And I've got Andrew, my girlfriend, so I stay at her place if we're in Virginia Beach. But and then I realized, like, why would I go back? Like, this is amazing. I've got extra cash. I've got no responsibility, no grass, no pets, no nothing. My refrigerator has expired condiments in it. It just made life easy, and I felt free. Think Fight Club. Remember the guy, the building blew up and all he had was condiments and IKEA? You know, I guess so that's kind of what did it. I was a big rock climber. Andrew and I were rock climbers big time for a while. And so you see all the dirtbag, you know, Alex Honnold and all the rock climbers all living out of their vans. It was just intriguing. And then as we started to do it, it just feels right. And so but again, I still have my house. I just rented it out. I have a bunch of houses. I own all kinds of real estate. I just choose not to live in any of it. But actually, we're getting ready to move. Andrea's, and I'm talking her into this lifestyle. Andrea has a house, but we're going to move to an RV campground in between Williamsburg and Richmond. And now she doesn't have a house and grass and all that stuff. So now, I talked her into it. So it's going to be like mine, yours, and ours, because we don't really want to live together, but we want to live close together nearby. So yeah. So then it's like, and here's the thing. Most people, like, they want to start a business. They want to be an entrepreneur. They want to make all this money and all of that. But the problem with that is then they start buying the stuff and the yachts and the yacht clubs and all the stuff. And then they feel trapped. And so I very systematically went through my life and said, if I don't like it, I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm 51 now. It's like, if the answer is not hell yeah, then it's F no. And so I just chose to very strategically, how do I spend my time and how do I spend my focus? And what I really like to do is travel. I like to adventure race. I like to ride my mountain bike. I like to paddle kayaks. And so everything in my life and my company was back me into the ideal lifestyle that I wanted. It didn't have to do with a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of money to live out of a van and an RV and do this stuff. Anybody could do it, but you sacrifice all the normal stuff that normal people want, right? Nice cars, houses, all that stuff. So I know that's kind of a long story, but it is unique.
It's unique, but I think it's a perspective that I think the overwhelming majority do follow. And to have this outside perspective, you know, you being an anomaly in that, I actually think it's pretty cool, right? Yeah. Like, I can't imagine having that conversation with my wife being like, yeah, you know, I was talking to my buddy Chip and he was telling me about this van life. And like, I think that would be fun. Like, I give you so much kudos for figuring that aspect out. I couldn't do it, right? I don't think that's a lifestyle I could do. Maybe for a couple of days, right? But not forever. And I think it's great. I think it's cool. And Tim, I don't know if you've ever seen, but every once in a while he'll post online some of the mountain biking trips. And is the GoPro on the chest or is it on the helmet? I can't recall.
Usually it's on the chest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going down some pretty rad hills, some pretty crazy obstacles. And I'm like, wow. This guy is not worried about like living. Like, he's like, I'm a
with these scary shit. With these expedition races we do, we race all around the world, just about any country, and we've done Africa 3 times, Belize and Croatia and all that. I mean, you have to be able to mountain bike, trek, paddle, insane conditions. Just whitewater rafting, you got to be able to go down using pack rafts, canoes, kayaks. I mean, what they throw at us is just crazy. Like, we're getting ready to leave next week to go to Alaska for a 5-day race. I had to go buy crampons and an ice axe and freaking, you know, bundles of rope so that we can cross a glacier without falling into crevasses. And it's just, we've never done this shit before. We're literally just figuring it out. But
wow.
My mountain bike right now has got 13 pounds of lead ankle weights on it. Just that's my day-to-day bike. So when I go to a race, I use a carbon fiber bike, and feels super light. My backpack has a 9-pound bag of rocks in it, in addition to the water and the gear. So every time I work out, whether it's a trail run or a hike, and mountain biking, I've got a 20-pound backpack on, just training for these races. So this is the stuff that you can't
so you're training with rocks as your training partner, and then on race day.
Yeah, right. So the Go Ruck people, they carry around weight. We don't do any of that stuff. I'm not carrying a 50-pound pack, but I want to train day to day so that when I go to a race, it's easier than my day to day. So I want a lighter bike in the race than I have now. I want a lighter pack than I have now, and it just trains your body to be ready for 5 days of continuous exercise while loaded down in a foreign country.
Makes sense.
But as you can see, these races that we do, you can't have 2 kids, 2 dogs, and a house and a normal job with an office. You can't to really do adventure racing as much as we do it. I mean, last year I spent 800 hours on race courses. So it's over 2.5 hours per day, every single day of the year on average, not counting the training. So again, Andrea and I really focused and said, look, we love this adventure racing. It's like adventure travel. It's adventure tourism. It's amazing. The community is amazing. Kind of like, remember Hatch and Start and all that. You get around this group of people that are like, wow, we're like-minded, common focused. We're interested in the same stuff. Like, you come away from that, if you're not an introvert, you come away with a huge amount of energy from that experience. And adventure racing is similar to that. And I'm sure anything anybody's into, if you like golf and you go to a golf thing and all the golf people are there, you come away with a lot of energy. But you look at the people that do this, they're usually odd. They're not living a normal lifestyle. A lot of entrepreneurs that have sold their company and they're basically retired. Usually it's a 40 to 50-year-old crowd, because you need the money, the time, the experience, and no kids and stuff like that to do it as much as we do it.
Well, I'm curious, so that was like a really quick transition from you're in the thick of it, trying to figure out the business, to now you have the flexibility to go and do all this stuff. What stuff did you have to put in place in order to allow the business to operate so that you could go off and do these different adventures and races?
It was hard. I joined EO at exactly the same time I joined another club that was called 3 to 5 Club. And the reason it's called 3 to 5 is it tries to get your business mature within 3 to 5 years. And mature means you are not needed for day-to-day operations. Or, a lot of people call you're on the treadmill at work. You're got to be there. You got to answer emails. You got to do stuff. People, hey, Chip, how do I do this? How do I do that? It's a mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make is, I don't know, pick something. I used to be a roofer, so now I want to open a roofing company. And then, and I am the only guy that can do the roof the way I do the roof. I got one buddy, and he's a window guy, does windows and roofs and gutters. And he felt, as the entrepreneur, like, I'm the only guy that can measure a window accurately. And then, so he's on that treadmill, right? He's got to go do the sale and measure the window. And if he doesn't measure the window, it's going to be wrong. And so the company can't scale and all that. So I think entrepreneurs make that mistake, that I've got to be the guy, I've got to be the girl to do this, or it won't be done right. And then the 3 to 5 Club, basically what it teaches you is your job as an entrepreneur is to create systems and processes. That's it. You're the one that solves the puzzle. How do I measure a window step by step thoroughly? And then you train somebody on that system and process, and then you see them do it, you do it beside them, and then maybe you got to change the process a little bit because they missed a step, or you put the step in the wrong order. But at some point, you can hire somebody, $20 an hour, whatever, can measure a window. So your job as entrepreneur is to solve the puzzle and then teach others how to solve that puzzle moving forward. And so once I realized that was really my job, now it was, okay, I need to stop doing stuff. I need to train people how to do stuff, or have my leadership team train people how to do stuff. And then, so that was able to back me into a role where it's, I don't have any day-to-day tasks that I'm responsible for, but I do stuff. Like, for example, I'm tinkering around with a software called Fathom. You guys may have heard of it. There's another one called Data Rails. Basically, you take your QuickBooks file and you drop it into Fathom, and it does all kinds of financial analysis and reporting and all kinds of cool stuff. So that's the kind of stuff I would do. So that's like my job. I want to test out this new piece of software, see if I can get some financial insights, maybe look at how can I integrate ChatGPT or Copilot into our day-to-day operations to make people more productive or whatever. So, I'm on the tech side, the AI side, the finance side. I follow a lot of HR law, stuff like that. We have an overtime rule that just changed. It's going to change again in January. It's going to affect a lot of companies compensate their people. So that's the stuff the entrepreneur kind of works on. Like what are the icebergs over the horizon? What's the trends? And how do I stay in front of those trends? One more specific way to answer your question, if an entrepreneur is finding themselves on the treadmill and is you go through it's fun to do with a facilitator, but you can do it yourself, would be you basically take Post-it notes and you write down each task that you do. And then you put next to it, what's the dollar amount that you would have to pay somebody? If I put a gun to your head and say, you can't do this task anymore, maybe you had a health crisis, you're going to be in the hospital for 6 months. What would it take to pay somebody? Because there's somebody out there that can do that task. Somebody can measure the window. You're not the only guy. And so you put a number next to it. And what I realized, a lot of my tasks, I did this with the 3 to 5 Club, and I realized a lot of my tasks were sub $20 an hour. And I was like, why the hell? As the owner of a multi-million-dollar company, am I doing tasks that could be done by somebody less than $20 an hour? At the time, it was probably $15 an hour. And so you just say, I'm not doing this anymore. This is dumb. And you start delegating out those tasks and do whatever you got to do. They make the system in process, puts controls in place, buy more insurance if it's transporting money and I'm not doing it. If the task says $250, because if I don't do it, I'm gonna have to send it to my attorney. Now I'm interested. $250 is a lot of money per hour. I just got rid of you start at the bottom, you work your way up and just get rid of all the tedious, dumb stuff. So hopefully that helped answer your question.
No, I think that's, and it's so, like you said, it's so hard. So many founders want to jump on that treadmill and just keep on going and going and going. And then it's just, it's tough to get through to them. And then they burn out or they can't scale and then they burn out because, But it's just, It's interesting to hear your take in terms of look at the flip side. You're out there doing some really cool stuff and enjoying life.
Totally. But it did take time and it took focus. Now, let me back up. COVID helped a lot because obviously everybody went remote and I was like, yes, now I just need a Starlink. I could be anywhere in the country. But we had, before COVID, I learned a lot from EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. As I joined the leadership of that organization, I started off in the learning role where you're setting up speakers to come in and talk to the chapter about stuff. And what I realized, they use Zoom to I was based out of Virginia Beach. I'd be on a Zoom call with all of these other learning chairs from all up and down the East Coast. And so we got in the habit of using Zoom and EO. And I was like, whoa, this is actually pretty cool. I mean, this has been a long time. It was like 10 years or something ago, whenever Zoom first came out. And we started adopting Zoom in the company to do our meetings because I'm spread all across Virginia. Like right now, I'm in Lynchburg. I was in Danville yesterday, and we have a big operations in Hampton Roads and even the Eastern Shore. So we had adopted Zoom and basically this video calls way before the average company was doing it. COVID hits, and it was like we didn't really have to do anything. It's just, we all of us had like a home office, all the executive team, like the C-suite. So we did, it was super easy. So, and then we were able to like downsize our commercial footprint and all of that. But it really takes a mindset to say, I want to stop trading time for money. I don't want to have to show up at 9 and leave at 5. And so when you own the company, your job is to delegate the stuff you don't want to do. Some people mow their own grass. Some people pay the kid down there at $20. I ain't doing it. That's stupid. Why would I waste my time mowing my grass or changing my oil? Think of your company as the same thing. Just pay other people to do the dumb shit you don't want to do. And hopefully they're better at it. I suck at tedious, same thing, accounting over and over and over and over, making sure it's exactly right, reconciling checking account. I can't do that. I'm going to hire Andrea. She's amazing at that, highly skilled. run circles around me. But human service people hate technology. So I'll do that. I love tech. I want to watch Sam Altman speak again for this 26th time about AI and, the new for-profit company.
Is it hard? Is it hard for you to start actually doing that? I know a lot of people who want to do that, or they think they want to do it, but then actually delegating it or allowing that is, I don't even know if it's a fear. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but a lot of people will talk about, they want to work on the business instead of in the business. I think ultimately That's what you're saying.
Yes.
But when you tell them, hey, you can do this task, you tell them the process that you just did, they don't do it. And I don't think it's usually money. I think it's something else. Like, have you run into that? Have you you personally, are there others that, when you've told this story to, this process to, that they're like, well, and give you, just play the excuse train? What is that like? Because why do something that's like, why would I edit my own book? I could barely write the damn thing, right? Why would I sit there and edit it? It doesn't make sense.
Right.
I don't know. It's just amazing. What are your thoughts on that?
I'll give you a shot. I don't have all the answers, but I think I can at least add one part to your question.
Well, you're going to give me a shot of what? What kind of liquor?
Oh, I got a bottle of tequila right here. One of the things I think that sometimes hold back founders and entrepreneurs is identity. I see this a lot in EO, because in EO, we got people, I think we had 89 members or something like that. And I've been in there a long time and I've watched their journey. People kind of become what they do a lot of the time. I am a contractor, I am a developer, I'm a tech person. And their identity is wrapped into the company. Maybe their identity is entrepreneur. Like, if I am not there in that startup thing, I just don't feel myself. And I think what really did it for me is I realized the stuff that I really like to do, for example, adventure racing, that started to become more attractive as an identity. Is that what I feel? I think of it like this: where do you feel most alive? And I think that's where people typically gravitate towards. So if you really like being the first in and last out at work, and what you're doing is amazing, you're changing the world, then maybe you should be at work doing it because it's all amazing. In my world, it's a little different. I took over an existing company. It wasn't my vision. It's not my passion. I was asked, please continue to let this company operate. So think of it like a campsite. In the Boy Scouts, they always say when you find a campsite, you got to leave it better than you found it. Some people will leave you some wood for the next fire. So you might use the firewood, but you're supposed to replace the wood if you used it, right? And that's the way my partner and I have a 25% partner as well. We feel like this company is its own thing. It's my mom's vision. It's my mom's passion. That's her legacy. We're just the ones kind of keeping the campfire going until we pass away. And then it goes into a trust. And I've built it with a 1,000-year plan, basically. It's like after Andy and I die, this company will continue. The vision will continue, and my mom's legacy will continue. So it was a little bit easier for me to build a company that backs me into my ideal lifestyle, which is being an outdoorsy person that travels all over the place. I don't feel like I have to go to work for that to be my identity. I guess, does that resonate with you at all or think through the founders you're talking about that don't stop working? Could it be like that's where they feel most alive? They don't have adventure racing or a hobby on the side that makes them feel more alive than at work. And so maybe that's it. If somebody doesn't like their job and they're working there a lot and they're burned out, that's where I'm like, okay, let's not therapy, but let's go through like a process of figuring out what do you want to do with the rest of your life? I mean, our clocks are ticking fast. It's like the older I get, the more the years fly by. And literally, I'm an outdoorsy person, right? So I'm 51.
You don't say.
Do what?
You don't say.
You don't say.
Nope.
I look around and I see other people that are racers, and most of them, once you get to be about 62, 64-ish, you're no longer competitive. You can keep racing into your 70s, but you're not competitive. We're competitive. Like I'm going for the podium and all this crap. So I'm literally looking at my life. Like I've got like 12 to 15 years left of doing what I love. I might live to 130, but I had to, like, 15 years is not a long time. I'm thinking, holy crap, I'm going to be 62. And like, that just blows my mind. So I'm looking at going, okay, I've got 10 to 12 years left. What do I want to get done before I lose my fitness? Right. That's main thing. I realize there's life after 65. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. Like once you're 65, life's over. What I'm saying is that the sports that I like to do become not possible at my level into your mid 60s. And so I'll go do a different transition then and say, okay, now what? I'm going to go travel. Maybe I go sailing or something that's less hard on the knees and the back. So that would be one of the identity, I think, is a big one. And then lack of something else, lack of a passion outside of work. It is why I think a lot of people work. The other thing, and you've probably seen this before too, some people have got almost unlimited money, but they're still busting their ass wearing that suit and tie going into work every day. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you got $50 million. Why do you do anything you don't love? This is stupid. You stop at $20 million. At some point, the millions don't give you any more.
Right.
Live your life. And so I basically was like, I'm living my life now. The company still makes money, but my lifestyle is completely easy to afford relative to a wife and 2 kids and a house and all this stuff. I mean, I have no bills. I have food, fun, and fuel. That's it. No mortgage. All my mortgages are being paid by somebody else. I got a lot of mailbox money. I got a lot of real estate that I've paid off. So I don't know. It just put yourself through it. Like at some point, get your number and do what you love and quit busting your ass, because more money does not change the thing.
Yeah, that's super interesting, and a lot of people think that that's the case. It's just I just need a little bit more and a little bit more, and the reality of it is, once you hit that number or you get that thing, then it's over, and then you're on to the next thing. It's like you got to find that true happiness and true passion that's going to make you happy, and it's not necessarily money, and it's not necessarily a possession. It just
no.
And it's really hard to explain that to people because they have to experience that themselves.
Yes. And Zach, you were saying about your book. I'm working on a book with a buddy, and it may never get done, but I'll tell you a part of it to help people get through that question. And it's real easy. And it's, think about like when you're in grade school, they teach you the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Real easy to remember. So then take it and say, okay, let's not just look at money. Because money is a sustainability thing. It's like fuel in the gas tank. But the who, what, when, where, why, how of you and your life, start personally and say, are you spending time with who you want to spend time with, right? I call them happy sliders. Like think of a slider, goes from 0 to 5. So I want my slider 5. Like I want to be hanging out with adventure racers and entrepreneurs. Like I don't want to hang out with sad sacks of people that, oh my God, the world's so bad. Or I mean, politics and all this stuff, sports, can't stand sports. I don't want to be around people that talk sports, So pick who you want to hang out with and say, okay, where am I? Pick a period of time. Let's call it a month. This month, have I spent time with who I want to spend time with? Have I spent time doing what I want to do? Have I spent time where I want to be? I want to be in Alaska. My next 3 big trips are Alaska, Ecuador, and New Zealand. I can't wait. We're going 25 days in Alaska, 3 weeks in Ecuador, and then like a month in New Zealand. I can't wait. This is going to be amazing. If I'm in Virginia Beach, my slider's like 0. This place sucks. It's flat. There's no mountains. There's traffic. There's nothing can eat you. Just no. I want to be being chased by bears in Alaska. So my where sucks right now. Actually, I'm in Lynchburg, so I'm happy because there's mountains here, and I'm traveling. I'm in the van. But if I'm in Virginia Beach, my slider's to the left. Why? Why is a big one, right? Go watch Simon Sinek's TED Talk. But you really need a why. I went through a thing way back, and they're kind of helping you figure out your why. And I came up with a personal mission statement that's realize success by helping others realize theirs. And I thought through it very specifically. It's realize my success. So I'm first. I'm selfish. I love Ayn Rand and Atlas Shrugged and all of that. I'm first. I'm going to realize my success by helping others realize theirs. Because I think humans are social creatures. We like helping each other. We feel good when we've helped somebody. And I'm not saying feed the homeless or whatever. I mean, you pick who you want to help. I love helping entrepreneurs. I've done a lot of talks like this. I've done a lot of coaching on stuff. I like people achieving their dreams. I love helping new people get into adventure racing. You know, we have a podcast, I have a YouTube channel. It's very educational. We try to teach people that they've done this first race in their backyard. Maybe it was 10 hours and they're like, oh my God, it was so hard. They look at us, we're doing 8 days in Africa. They're like, how do you do it? Like, let me tell you how. I'll help you all day long. So that's kind of my why. And obviously I can apply that to work. We're helping people with disabilities lead amazing lives in the community. Like, we literally are getting people from institutional settings. They've been locked up all their life as if they did a crime. Their crime was being disabled. It sucks. It is illegal, but it still happens. I get these guys out and my team figures out what they want to do in life. And then a year later, you go back and look, and the guy's happy. He's eating the right food. He's got the right clothes. He's experiencing the community like me and you. Behavioral problems stop. Their health gets better. And then I also apply it to my staff. I see people come in, they need a job. Maybe they don't have computer skills or anything like that. I can take people that have low skills, bring them in my industry, get them all the way up to a high level in our company. Like, many of the people in my C-suite used to be a direct support professional entry-level position. So that, going back to the sliders, who, what, when, where, why, and how, the why is a really important one. I would suggest everybody go through that as a facilitated process if you don't already have it. And are you doing things how you want to do it? You know, it's kind of obvious, but basically if you go through those things and do it with yourself first, then maybe with your wife and your kids, because your happy sliders might be different. Mine were very different than my ex-wife, which is why I have an ex-wife. But my happy sliders are very in alignment with Andrea, right? Although she's got kids, so her sliders, I want to see my kids from time to time. I don't have kids. So either way, that's what I would suggest people do. And then once you realize to peg my happy sliders, all 5s on the right, doesn't take a lot of money, right? I don't need a private jet. I'm happy riding coach in the back of the airplane as long as I'm on my way to a race. And so I realized I don't need to keep busting my ass to grow. I mean, I want to grow and all of that, but I can live off of my salary, no problem, and continue to do my lifestyle indefinitely. So long answer to a short question.
No, I think it's great.
Tim, have you ever been to a Chip Dodd talk or anything like this? Is this the first time you've like heard this style? Because this is what he does. He gave several talks at Hatch. And you just kind of sit back and you just listen. You're just like, all right, like this cat, like, it's interesting to me. Like, when you were talking, I was thinking about people who have, and I'm going to use this word, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Tim. I apologize, but
no, you're good.
Want to make this point. There's a difference on this show when we interview people. Like, I think of Mike Wagner, right? I think of the Calacanis. I think of the guy from Scratch. I think of Chip. You articulate things so differently.
Next level.
It's so you literally you do just sit back and you just watch, right? Yep. It's you can tell that, right, Tim? Like, you're.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a great show for me in that regard. So like, as we were waiting to get the show going, Zach's like, dude, are you all right? You're feeling, you look down. And I was like, man, I'm going to save this for the show because maybe you can help me with my how here. So I haven't missed a day of running in 10 years. We talk about that on the show. I average 6 miles a day. I'm nowhere near like the level of stuff that you're doing, but I go out and I run every day. That's just my thing. I throw a podcast in. I try to learn a little something. I'm out there today. And like, it was just crazy perfect timing. I open up my mouth and this big bug flies into my mouth. And then I'm just like, ugh! and then it stings me. And like, so now I'm running and I'm like trying to like, I have no idea what happened. I'm able to gag this thing out and I spit it out, but it still stung me. And like, now I'm thinking, man, are my airways going to swell up and then I'm just going to keel over and die because I can't breathe? And like, I still feel this pain deep in my throat from where this thing stung me.
Did you look at the bug on the ground to see what it was?
No, because I spit it out, and I have no idea like where it went at that point because I was still running.
We need to go back to the spot and find it. It's important, Tim.
Yeah, it's I have no idea what it was. I don't know if it was a bee. I have no clue. But I was just like, it made for an interesting run. My throat is still sore. Yeah. You ever been stung?
Like airway didn't collapse. That would have been bad.
That's what I was concerned with. And what's your craziest injury that you've experienced amongst your adventure racing?
Wow. Believe it or not, we don't get injured very much.
Knock on wood.
I had an IT band problem that took me out of a race. I had to walk down the Massanutten Ridge backwards. I mean, if you have an IT band, but you can't walk downhill straight. So I literally you can't get rescued at Massanutten Ridge. Like there's no helicopter landings, extremely rocky. It was a 24-hour race. This was the next morning. And I literally was like, I'm not going to make it. Like somebody's going to have to come rescue me. I can't walk. I'm on the top of this stupid ridge. And I was a solo racer at the time. I was by myself. And I realized I did do some stretchy stuff and that helped a little bit. But if I walked backwards, I could walk. It wasn't that bad. And it took me forever. But I eventually made it down to the river at the next transition area. And I was like, okay, I'm done. Yeah, put me in the van, take me to the finish. I need a beer and a hot dog or whatever. I need to get out of here. Typically, let's say if you were just in a mountain bike race, it's hard and fast. You're going as fast as you can possibly go. Let's say you're at Pocahontas State Park. It's a 50-miler or something like that. You're just redlining the whole time. You're allowed to break stuff. You're allowed to get blisters, chafing, sunburn. Doesn't matter. Just get the race done because it's 3 hours or 5 hours or whatever. Adventure racing is exactly the opposite. You want to be extremely durable. You don't want anything to go wrong. I'm literally getting in an airplane with Andrea, and we're going to have like 400 pounds of gear flying to Alaska. I mean, we're talking pack rafts, dry suits, crampons, ice axe. Look at this, like this big ass freaking thing of rope. Like I have to have we have to have 250-meter ropes to not fall in these crevasses. All this crap's going to Alaska. If I go in there and wreck my mountain bike because I don't know what I'm doing, like I've just ruined a $15,000 experience. So we ride in such a way, we put in the 10,000 hours. Malcolm Gladwell and all that. You want to do anything good, you got to do it 10,000 hours. Guarantee you I've ridden my bike 25,000 hours or something. I mean, it's like crazy amounts of time that Andrea and I spend riding, and the rest of adventure racers. Like I said, you go running every day. We try to do a run bike. It's always on trail. We never do any road running or anything like that because you want your ankles to be used to uneven terrain. You want your brain to be able to memorize the trail. Where I can be listening to a podcast and trail running, I don't trip and fall because somehow after 10,000 hours of trail running, your brain kind of memorizes where the next steps are. I don't even have to look where I'm walking anymore.
Yeah.
You take a road runner and put them on trails, they're tripping and
falling.
Dude,
I would be done. Like to me, I'll trip. Like when I just transitioned to a new pair of shoes because the sole is like 2 millimeters thicker than what my old worn out pair was that I just replaced. I mean, it's crazy.
So it's completely opposite. We're in Croatia. It's raining nonstop for 50 hours. Our shoes are wet and your socks are wet and everything is chafing and blisters and maceration. And you got to keep going. There's ways you can fix your feet. You can put dry stuff on there. You can re-lube them. You can put on a fresh set of socks. You can pop your blisters. You're not stopping. It's crazy. So durability is our goal. So I quit skateboarding. I love skateboarding, and I miss it. I quit skateboarding because it's wonky on the knees and it's I'm just scared to death I'm gonna get hurt. I love mosh pits. Holy crap. Like the last 2 times I really got injured, it was at the Black Flag mosh pit. My dumbass 50-year-old running around getting the shit kicked out of me. And I hurt my knee going into Africa. I thought I had just ruined Expedition Africa for my team. Because if I can't run, if I can't walk for 3 days, I'm screwed and I hurt my knee. And I was like, you know what? No more mosh pits, no more skateboarding. Yeah. Everything is about durability and longevity. So we typically don't get hurt. I guess that was a long answer to it. Sorry, I don't have any amazing. We almost died a bunch of times, but never like an injury.
Tim, what's the tool that you use that you that we upload the thing to, and then it gives you an answer right after the show? This thing too. What's it called?
Podcast AI.
Okay, so there's this tool, Chip, called podcast.ai. And we upload the show. Tim uploads the show, and it sprinkles out like a couple of things that I think they call them viral moments, or things that maybe it would, something like that. This is me instigating here. So I just want to preface this. I know what you're about to say, because the last time I actually saw you, I brought up this thing called the Barkley Marathons. And you said that the Barkley Marathons are weak, are silly, something like that. Just tell me, when someone brings up the Barkley Marathons versus what Chip Dodd does, what do you got for me?
Yeah. Not that I don't respect the people that
whoa. So now that we're recording, you're gonna be a little timid this whole time. We're 51 minutes in.
I'm getting there. Before I torch it, I was just gonna say some nice things. I have a friend that just competed in it. His name's Sebastian. I think he got 3rd place or 4th place. No, I'm sorry.
Did he finish?
He did not lose. I'm sorry. He was one of the last ones. He's got blonde curly hair, French guy. He's one of the best adventure racers in the world, which is why I know him. So I respect the folks that run long distances. I would never want to do that. It's just not my thing. The reason I call sports like that weak, it's really, I mean, I'm just being an opinionated ass, but I enjoy the intellectual part of the sport that I do. It's not about just riding your bike fast and running fast and all that. Everything we do, it's map and compass navigation only. And so, I mean, Barkley's hard. You gotta follow the trails, and you gotta go backwards, and it's hard. But it's like, it's different than just, for example, World Championships was in Paraguay a couple years ago. Like literally, we first you got to find Paraguay on a map. Like, where the hell is this place? It's like this landlocked country in South America, and you go to the race hotel. They don't tell you where you're going. All you know is you got 4 people. World Championships. It's going to be an 8-day race. And it's somewhere in Paraguay. And then morning of the race, they put you on buses and you have no idea where you're going. So now you ride a bus for, let's call it 6 or 8 hours or something like that. And you just pull off to some building in the middle of nowhere. And they go, okay, map here. All the teams come up. Here's your maps. And there's like 26 maps. If you laid them on the ground, it would be, 20 yards long. Here's the maps for the whole race. We had about an hour to look at these maps. And then I was like, okay, start's going to be in, 10 minutes, and then go. You are now homeless in Paraguay for the next 8 days. And there's your maps. You're not allowed to open your cell phone. You're not allowed to have any outside maps, any outside help. You just got to go find these checkpoints in the woods. You can go up and over the mountain, around the mountain, swim across the river. And there's generally a course that the race director is just kind of guiding you by putting these checkpoints. But it's up to you to find your way across this country. And when you get tired, we usually go through the first night with no sleep. But by the second night, you start hallucinating. So now it's like, well, shit, we need a place to sleep. You're in Paraguay. There's no Hotel 6 or no. So then you're like, okay, those bushes don't look so bad. And so, you get a little sleeping pad and you lay in the bushes for 2 hours, and that makes the hallucinations go away. You get back up and you keep going. And then you start hallucinating again. And then you're like, crap, where are we now? Okay, well, maybe there's a little building or a little shack where some goats were, and it's raining. So now you're going to kind of go into this little farmer's goat shack and lay on the hay and 2 more hours. And then you get up and you keep going. And then you get on your bikes and you ride your bike for 48 hours. And then you get on a paddle section and you're going whitewater at night. That was an injury, falling out of the kayak at night in Paraguay. And we called it the Caca River because it was doo-doo brown. And there's like dead cows and crap. It stunk. We get out of the river, all of our wounds are now infected, and we had to get iodine and all this stuff because we were going to get an infection during this race. And then now you're hallucinating on your kayak, so you can put your life jacket all like this, and you just lean your head forward, and you can kind of sleep while you're sitting there. That got the hallucinations to go away on the paddle section. I mean, you can just see this is just stupidity. But it's this massive intellectual puzzle, extremely difficult on all levels. I mean, it's like you're hungry, you're tired, you're beat up, you're sore, you're chafed. And all of everybody on the team is going to go through highs and lows, just like in business. And they always say, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go with a team. And the reason is because hopefully everybody is not having their low at the same time. And so maybe I'm having a really hard time. My knee's hurting. Somebody else will take my backpack. 2 hours later, okay, I'm feeling better. I got a little food in me. I'm back at it. Maybe we're on the bike section. I'm a strong biker. Hey, let me get your stuff. I'll put it in my bike. I'll tow you. We have tow systems and all of that. So we work together as a team to get through these extreme environments. And then you get to the finish line. And it's like, that's where I feel most alive. I am like, holy shit, we did it. We did it. And you don't get that doing a 5K, 10K marathon. It's like, it's only one day. Like, to get the human experience, to be that, oh my God, we did it. It's got to be a Mount Everest style thing. It's got to take multiple days. It's got to be really hard. You got to earn it. And again, I wish everybody on the planet could go through one of these successfully and enjoy it, so that they realize the human potential. Like the how happy can you actually get without drugs? It's like ending one of these races. I've never felt anything like it, because the other thing, if you guys, I like reading military stuff and following the military stuff. You like look at Black Hawk Down, something like that. Like you get done with that type of amazing battle. You've seen people die. Maybe you're injured. You're washing the blood out of the Humvees, and then you come back to society. You're back now. Here's your wife and your kids, and you got to go to the store and wait in traffic and text at the traffic lights. And you hear these guys. They want to go back. They don't want to leave their team. Their team's there. They need my help. I want to go back. And that the camaraderie between special operators. I was listening to a podcast the other day. Simon Sinek studies these guys. It's like, that is true love. What the special operators have between them. Nothing sexual. This is they are living their life to their fullest potential and achieving amazing things as a team. So that's the only other real. I've never been military, but that from listening and reading to it, that emotional experience of going through something that epic. The friendships that you have, the community, it's life changing. It's way different. Just going to work, clocking in and leaving, and going and playing golf and watching Netflix at night. It's like that's just mundane. So I don't know. Does that answer your question, Zach? Like, that's why I kind of laugh at the Barclay. It's like, okay, it's adorable. Good job, guys. But Sebastian is also like, his team is probably top 4 in the world. And so he did that. It's just like, oh, let's just go do the Barclay. He's capable of way more than the Barclay. So, but he did not finish in time. So unfortunately.
When you get back to Virginia, your sliders are to the left. You want to you reward yourself with a good meal. Where do you go?
I have my favorite little pub is called Margarita Grill. Again, I'm a van guy, right? So I'm going to go to the Dive where I can get 250 cocktails, and they make me doubles. And it's a tuna avocado salad that they have, and their tuna is always like sushi grade, really good. I was told by my doctor I shouldn't eat more than 1 tuna a week because of the mercury. So I may have been poisoning myself over the last 10 years. But yeah, Margarita Grill's one of my favorites, and Kelly's Tavern, just because it's fun to watch monster trucks bounce on each other on all the screens. It's a miserable existence doing these, training a 51-year-old body for adventure racing. It's hard to keep your weight low. So all I do is eat salads. It sucks. It's like, which salad, and nothing bad on the salad. It's got to be like tuna or salmon or a lean meat and olive oil dressing, because I got high cholesterol and yada, yada. I live a very boring life. So it's just like, I go to a restaurant, everybody else can eat all this stuff in the menu. I look at the salads, and there's like 4, and one of them's going to have croutons. And so it just sucks. But
that's interesting. Why is that? I would think that you'd be at such a calorie deficit that you could indulge.
Well, I also have to do gluten-free because I can't eat gluten. No, I don't know why. My body plateaued, and it's extremely difficult. Like normally day to day, I'm right around 182, 6'1". And then for race weight, I like to try to get into like the 175 range if I can pull that off, just to shed weight. I also want to be fat adapted. I don't know if you get into that, Tim, as a runner. But I try to eat a very low carb diet so that my body can eat fat while exercising.
Right.
It's a Primal Endurance was the book I wrote about it, and it works really, really well for endurance sports.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to fuel while I'm exercising. So if I run out of food, I'm fine. Most people run out of food, they bonk because you only have 1,500 calories of glycogen in your legs and all of that. And a lot of times when you're running or biking really hard, you can't eat food because your body doesn't want to digest food while you're exercising.
Right.
So not that we're going high heart rate, because usually, again, we're trying to be durable on these races. So normally we're operating right around 130 on the heart rate. So we can eat a sandwich and still talk while we're running or biking. But no, so I do the low carb stuff and just eat a lot of salads and stuff. And you would think I'm in a calorie deficit, but I mean, I am, because I'm trying to lose weight going into Alaska. Again, I'd like to drop 3 or 4 more pounds. That way my body is completely fat adapted and I'm light and lean. And then, okay, so let's say this. So okay, you're right. My indulgence would probably be a gluten-free pizza. That would be after the race. I'm allowed to eat carbs again for like a day or two. Gluten-free pizza does it. Pad Thai, because I normally won't eat Pad Thai if I'm going into a race. So those would probably be the indulgence.
You keep track of how many toenails you lose?
Oh my God, my toes are disgusting, dude. Like, I'll send you a video. I'm not gonna put it on the podcast, but I took a video to one of my adventure racing friends, and I was like ripping off a toenail, and it was like this big black chunk. And not only is that toenail black, but the one growing in under it's black. Yeah. I mean, right now I think I only have one toe that's not blue. As I look down, I'm gonna start painting my toenails because small children scream and run. It's terrible because a lot of what we're doing is going up and downhill. Like we call it bushwhacking, but we just got done with a race down in near Chattanooga. It's called the Hog's Back. It was a 2-day race. It was 12 hours the first day and like 8 hours the second day, and just up and down, up and down, up and down, and it beat up my toenails real bad because I guess your feet slide forward into your shoes when you're bushwhacking going downhill. It's just 2 racers that I know had their toenails surgically removed. You've probably heard of that. Runners do it a lot. And one guy, his toenails grew back, even though it was very painful, and the doctor surgically removed all of his toes. His name's Endurance Hunter is his like little thing on Instagram or whatever. He ran the Florida Trail from bottom to top. It was like 1,200 miles, and he got the FKT for that. So if you're a big runner, you should follow him on Instagram. He's a funny guy. But yeah, his toenails grew back. Yeah, look at Zach's face. He's like, why do you do this stuff? This is gross. Yeah.
Wild.
One adventure racing team a couple of years ago at the national championships where all toenails go to heaven. That was their team name. Yeah.
That's a good name. I think the toenails is where to stop the show. I think that's it because I'm a little scared of what's next. So part 2 is coming up at some point in the future, but I don't want to hear about it right now. Chip, appreciate this is the first episode we've ever done live from a van. So that was rad. Cool. It's good seeing you, and we'll have to catch up soon because I haven't seen you. I saw you literally the last day I saw you was day 0 of COVID. It was the day before everything shut down. We were at a race, State of Digital Marketing Address at Slover. Yep. So that was like March, mid-March 2020. So
yeah, it was March 15th, I think.
Yeah,
March 16th is when the governor shut down my day program. Yep.
Yeah. So good to see you.
Yeah.
Have fun in Alaska.
Good luck on your travels.
I guess if anybody does want to learn more about adventure racing or follow us, we do have a podcast called the This Ability Adventures podcast. So THIS Ability Adventures podcast. Obviously, it's a play on words with disability. And then also we have a Disability Adventure Racing YouTube channel. And we do, and this is not a money thing. This is just helping racers learn how to race. and we do use GoPros during our races, and then I have a bunch of virtual assistants in the Philippines, and I have a couple that do my video editing, which is that's a whole nother topic we should get into on another call. But they chop the video up into, so whatever an 8-day race is, maybe a series of 6 to 8 videos. But if anybody's interested in just seeing what it's like, check out the YouTube channel. It's pretty fun. And we're on Facebook, Disability Adventure Racing on Facebook, and we post a lot of stuff. So if anybody wants to get into it, there's a couple resources.